Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you very much for your time and also for your courteous invite and allowing me to come from your local occupational safety and health office and provide a hazardous risk assessment for you. Our job and our goal is to be of service to you, your employees, and the various supervisory folks that you have in your establishment. So without further ado, I just want to give you a little bit of background information about occupational health. It is to preserve the wellness of the workforce, and through research and applied sciences, we're able to do that. We have a wealth of information and resources available from the World Health Organization, the Centers for Disease Control, as well as the National Institute of Safety and Health. Our overarching safety organization is OSHA. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration was established in 1970. It was actually law passed by Congress with the OSHA Act. And this allows us to have legal ramifications, enforcement, and support for employees and employers. One of the things I'd like you to consider is a little cartoon here of a mechanic performing a diagnostic test on the vehicle, and similar to what your staff does in diagnosing and maintaining the vehicles for operation, occupational health's goal is to assess and provide mitigation and prevention measures to keep our workforce healthy and well. Now, some people might say, well, why is OSHA so important? Well, this is just one of many sources of data available that shows very promising results from OSHA being involved in our various occupations. And this documentation is non-fatal occupational injuries and illnesses for the last 14 years. And even if the font is rather small, the biggest takeaway is a steady decline in the number of workers that were away from work because of illness or injury, or actually that had to be transferred from that job because of illness or injury. So OSHA does work, and so I'd like to share with you what we did from a national and global scale, and then looking locally at your site. So nationally, globally, 80% of our injuries reported are related to musculoskeletal stressors. What we had noted for your Biddeford site was 3 of your workers had sustained low back pain and injuries that resulted in 10 days away from work. We performed a NIOSH lifting evaluation, which gives us a risk index, and it indicates, based on the operation and what the workers are performing, how risky is it. Anything below a 1 is a normal risk. Anything greater than 1 is greater than average risk for injury, and your staff had a 1.48 and 1.92 risk index, so that is, a little significant. Around the world, there is a 9 times higher incidence of respiratory disorders for those working in machine shops, including asthma, so ventilation is something that's very important. Psychosocial stressors impact workers of various occupations, and typically people are disposed to higher rates of injury and illness. I'd like to say for your staff, this was low. You had a low psychosocial stressor analysis, which indicates a good working environment between employees and supervisors. Now, noise-induced hearing loss impacts men and women, and anything above 85 decibels can cause hearing loss. So that's something that we'd want to check for your folks. We did not have a safety committee oversight, and so that it doesn't give us any documentation or preventive measures to date, so that's something that can be worked on. And there were also no documented history of OSHA site inspections, so we would love to be part of moving forward with you and helping as much as we can. So the recommendations that we have is to form a safety committee for the shop. Assigning an additional duty to an employee can be something that you can incentivize. AHRQ actually utilizes team steps for safety and morale and team building, and this is one of the things that you could look into, even as a small section. Now, the resources are available to you with NIOSH for ergonomics, and that sciences will help you phase out some of your equipment perhaps that doesn't have enough support to your staff members, and over time replace it with those that do have more support for the machinery that you use. It also gives you good information about appropriate stretching exercises to do, Scheduling breaks, there's a job rotation calculator, perhaps moving folks from one position to another, all to decrease the musculoskeletal stress. Falls and slips are one of the top 10 OSHA violations that we see across the nation. So ensuring that the work surface is non-slip and then also requiring non-slip footwear for your employees will help reduce that risk factor. Performing on-the-spot random checks, that would be a great thing for you to kind of assess your own shop and just checking where the noise level is and where you may need to decrease it or work on the machinery so you can protect the hearing of your staff. And last but not least, for sure, is the PPE that's required for eyes, to protect the eyes, hearing, and skin protection for your employees. One of the things that goes along with that is the safety data sheets, making sure that employees know where they are, how to use them if there is an acute emergency. So those were the basics. I have included here for you our references from some of the studies and some of the sites that you and your staff can use. And again, thank you so much for your time today.